Notice requirement of the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act has been complied with, and that adequate advance notice of this meeting was given in at least 48 hours in advance. On June 18, 2019, notice was mailed to the Courier Post and the Philadelphia Inquirer. Notice was also posted on the bulletin board located by the reception desk at the central office and all school board building bulletin boards within the district.
When I call your name, please say present. Ms. Teresa Atwood.
Present.
Ms. Catherine, oops. Mr. Wasim Mohammed.
Present.
Mr. Nnamdi Nelson.
Present.
Ms. Carmen Otero.
Present.
The wrong list. Mr. Alton Custis.
Present.
Ms. Naima Gillespie.
Present.
Mr. Falio Leiba Martinez.
Present.
Ms. Yolanda Whitby. Ms. Martha Wilson. Thank you.
Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. We will now have the swearing in of student representative, facilitated by the Board Secretary, Anissa Compton.
We have no one to swear in tonight. I'm going to call the name of the student representative. Louis Echeverria, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Thank you. At this time, the board will now go into closed session to discuss matters of the following nature: litigation and attorney-client privilege. I call for a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go into close.
Second.
A motion was made to go into closed session by Ms. Atwood and second by Ms. Otero. All in favor of going into closed session?
Aye.
Any opposed? The board is now in closed session. We'll be returning in approximately 30 minutes, which means we will be back at 6:04. At this time, I call for a motion to come out of closed session. Is there a motion?
Motion to come out of close.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion was made to come out of closed session by Mr. Elton Custis and second by Ms. Teresa Atwood. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are now out of closed session.
Thank you, Ms. Coppin. At this time, I'm going to ask our board to transition down to the front rows to prepare for our superintendent's report. Good evening, everyone. All right, it's great to be here for our first board meeting of the 2020 year, and we're looking forward to moving forward with productivity as we do everything we can to advance our students in the district. And so we're going to begin tonight's meeting with a moment of silence. And so this evening, as we begin, again, while we're getting set for our presentation, and thank you so much for your patience, we want to just honor a gentleman who passed away recently, Mr. Bill Nickerson. He was a former beloved teacher at Camden High School. I know during the 80s because he was there actually when I was there at Camden High School. So let's just take a brief moment of silence to pause for one of our longtime educators who passed away, Mr. Nickerson. Thank you. So as we move forward with our presentation, again, we thank you for joining us today. Last year, in the last part of the calendar year, the district experienced many changes and celebrated many successes, including improved test scores and higher graduation rates. As a district, we will continue to build on 2019's progress. This part of the school year has started with a new school board, and you see our new school board members. Let's give them a round of applause who are joining. We also have the development of new partnerships that both support our academic outcomes and our commitment to ensuring safe schools built for 21st century success. Tonight's presentation will focus on our district priorities and school highlights as always. We will begin tonight's presentation with a special Student of the Month in highlighting our Students of the Month, as we have been doing for the past few months in collaboration with our CEA partners. So again, in partnership with CEA, we recognize students each month at our board meetings. Students are nominated by their principals for displaying outstanding character in the following areas: persistence in academics, teamwork, behavior, and helpfulness to others. At this time, I'd like to welcome our president of our CEA, Dr. Keith Benson, along with Ms. Katrina Squire, who are going to come up and help us to move this part forward. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Superintendent. We are excited, as usual, to celebrate these Students of the Month. Our December Students of the Month were nominated for many reasons, including their strong leadership skills, positive outlook when facing challenges, outstanding attendance, and academic achievement. This month's students were also noted by teachers and staff as having a passion for service and being positive role models in their schools. Among this group of students, you'll find students who are leading their grades in math and/or reading and serving their communities. One student contributed the most items for Toys for Tots. We are proud of all of these students for excelling in academics and personal development. Congratulations to our students for being outstanding role models, go-getters, and academic achievers. Thank you to our educators, district staff, families, and community for supporting our students' success daily. At this time, I would like to recognize our students and families who are present tonight. Please come to the podium when your name is called. We'd like to give a special thank you to Jacqueline Mendez Flowers for providing the flowers for our parents. Let's give a round of applause for our students, and here we're about to call. Our first Student of the Month is Amira Rivera. Are you here, Amira, from Woodrow Wilson High School? Okay. Destiny Hauser from Coopers Point Family School. Please come on down. Come on in. And they'd like to take a picture. Woodrow Wilson? Yes, one moment. Thank you. Congrats. Thank you. Amira Rivera has just come in. Come on down, honey. Family with you? Family with you? Yeah. Come on. Here you go. Family? That's where that's where you're going. For you. She's going to take a picture right here.
And then we go look at me. 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. Next up is Braden Mitchell. See that smile. He proud. Congrats. You coming? No one's getting it? You want to come up here? Thank you. Our next recipient, Anaya Mercier. Anaya Mercier. Adela Johnson. Come on over here. Adela. Adela. Let me put you up here.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, and 3.
Johnasia Jackson. Ah. Here you go, honey. Family's coming. That's okay. Went this high.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, and then look over here. Ready? 2, 3.
Next, we have Jasir Jones. Congrats.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
The picture is, yeah, but the picture is.
Next, we have Noah Martinez. No. Noah, congratulations. I'm stand around here with your mom.
Get a little closer together. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and look over here.
Thank you.
And please forgive me, I missed calling the school's name those last few. We have Tashawn Evans from Yorkshire Family School. Here. No, not present. Alicia Chapman. And we have parent and siblings accepting for her. She's home studying. She's home studying. You want her sister holding it. Thank you. So we have Kayana McCrae from Henry H. Davis Family School. Can we have Bentley Velasquez from Wiggins College Prep Lab School? Here you go, Bentley. Coming, one more.
She wants me to come to the picture with them. Of course. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3, and then look over here. 1, 2.
Edward Tellez from Veterans Memorial Family School. It's my school. Cindy Guzman from Woodrow Wilson High School. Not present. I'm sorry. Okay. Eliani? Did I pronounce? Eliani. Eliani Knott. From Forest Hill Elementary. All right, yes, all right. Proud auntie, mommy, and principal.
Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
And just to check, do we have Zamir Lorenzo here today? Yes. That's okay. He didn't always be there.
Okay,
That's all right. I'm sorry, from Creative Arts, Morgan Village School. There you go, honey.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, you have it.
Oh, more. How about I stay on that one? I'm sorry.
1, 2, and 3.
And we're checking for one more, Mara Lopez Chilel. Okay, well, we can give all of our recipients a hand tonight. Congratulations to everyone.
We're so proud of all of our students and all of our families, and I love how the families come out because it's a family affair. As we're celebrating, we're all one big family, one big village celebrating around our young people, and we are so, so very proud of you. So thank you, parents, for all that you do and all that you pour in to each and every one of our young people. We're going to move forward with the balance of our presentation and move into our first district, continue to move forward in our first district priority area, which is accelerating student achievement. The Roletta Twine Cream Early Childhood Center, located in the Centerville section of Camden, serves all preschool age students. The students' love for learning is fueled by rich, meaningful, hands-on learning experiences in a warm and welcoming atmosphere. We are looking forward to being able to add a grade or add another grade, kindergarten, to Cream School for the 2021 school year. We have already gotten upwards of 40 parents who are very much interested in having their students to either stay at Cream School, preschool students who are rising, or other parents who want their students to attend Cream. So if you look in the Camden enrollment website, you will be able to enroll in kindergarten at Cream School if there is an interest. So again, we just want to remind you, the window is open and it will be open until March. But if you're interested, you can also let the school know that you're interested in having your child attend Cream School for kindergarten. We know that unless our students are nutritionally balanced, then they won't be able to achieve as much as we would like them to academically. So it's important to teach our students about healthy choices and help students to expand their taste buds. Eating fruits and vegetables also leads to stronger bones, the ability to fight off germs, and increased memory. Our school nutrition team launched the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, and this program provides healthy fruit and veggie snacks to the following schools, and they're listed here: Davis, H.B. Wilson, Cream, Wiggins, Mastery, Cramer Hill, and McGraw School on Tuesdays and Thursdays. For more information on the program, please reach out to our school nutrition team. This announcement is very, very important, especially for any parents who have seniors in your homes. Financial aid FAFSA night is so very critical. On next Wednesday, February 5th, from 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock p.m., all Camden City School District juniors, seniors, and their parents are invited to attend the FAFSA, that's F-A-F-S-A, and family dinner night at Creative Arts at Morgan Village Academy. Juniors and parents will begin the FAFSA process and meet with vocational programs and college representatives. Seniors will complete FAFSA applications and create state-required New Jersey FAMS accounts. There will also be a resource fair, so please RSVP with your school counselor, college advisor, or senior seminar teacher. It is really important that we get as many of our young people registered and enrolled in FAFSA as we possibly can. We don't want to go below 75 to 80%. We would love that number to be 100% of our juniors and seniors who have completed the FAFSA. So this is one final push to make sure that we are making available an opportunity for you to come out, have dinner, get guidance, talk to people. There will be many resources there, but we really want to make sure that our district continues to rise in the area of the number of students who have completed their FAFSA applications. So please take advantage of that opportunity. Moving to the second priority, a great teacher in every classroom and great staff in every role, we recognize that providing our staff with the professional support needed to thrive in their respective role is vital to the health of the district and student performance. This month, we celebrated several educators and staff in partnership with the Camden Education Association. We celebrated our Teacher of the Year and also Paraprofessional of the Year at each of our district schools. The district winners will be recognized this spring. In addition, the district is working to decrease teacher vacancies. This week, school support, and you can see them in the picture there, partnered with Rowan University to recruit student teachers. Working proactively to build teacher pipelines is critical to ensuring student achievement and continuity of instruction. So we are trying many different and new strategies, and we are very grateful to our team and school support for going out to Rowan, Glassboro campus, and really setting up shop and talking to students and letting them know why it would be a great opportunity for them to get student teaching experience right here in the Camden City School District. So we are actively working to make sure that we try new strategies to fill vacancies and to avoid having them in the first place. Moving on to the third priority, safe schools built for 21st century success, asbestos abatement. I'm going to take my time and go through this because I want to make sure that I'm very clear in what I'm about to share. Because it is so very important for us as a district to make sure that we are open and communicating transparently about very sensitive issues, and this is one of them. As you know, one of the school district's priorities is to provide safe schools built for 21st century success. This priority includes maintaining a safe, clean, and comfortable learning environment for all of our students. I know there have been some concerns in the school community and the community at large recently regarding asbestos. So I want to take some time to address those concerns here tonight. In the 1940s through the 1970s, asbestos-containing materials were used frequently in building construction. Asbestos is known for its strength and heat resistance, which is why it became a favorite product in so many building materials during that time period. For example, asbestos has been used in or around boilers, various pipes, floor tiles, roofing products, and many, many more types of materials. It commonly exists in older buildings, and our schools are no exception. However, it is only when asbestos is disturbed that it can become a potential hazard. Recently, there is an SDA-funded HVAC project at Forest Hill. The contractor on the project needed to make repairs to equipment covered by a vibration blanket. Because many building materials can contain asbestos, the contractor had the material tested. The material tested positive for asbestos, and the contractor scheduled abatement of a 7 square foot section of the vibration blanket to make sure that it was removed. On January 18th, which was over the long Martin Luther King holiday weekend that we just came out of, the material containing asbestos was safely removed from the school in compliance with local, state, and federal regulations. After the work was complete, an independent health and safety firm tested the air quality in the school to ensure the school was safe to enter prior to students and staff returning from the holiday weekend. That said, although all the work was conducted according to local, state, and federal regulations, there was a breakdown in communication between our construction management firm and the district. This precluded the district's opportunity to proactively share this activity with the school community. Moving forward, the district will take steps to prevent breakdowns in communication, particularly around activities such as these. And so it is very important to me that trust, that we have the trust of our parents, the trust of our community members, our staff members, and that everyone feels safe and comfortable in their working environment. And so that is, again, another reason why I'm taking time to really talk about what occurred at Forest Hill, because I know there were some different, some concerns, and rightfully so. I am a parent as well, and if I see a sign that is on a building that I was not made aware of by the school district officials or the principal of the building, because she was not aware either, I would have a concern as well. We want you to know at no time was any staff member or student in jeopardy. At no time was any staff member or student exposed to anything that would be of concern. It was done over the holiday weekend. No one was in the building, and all air quality tests were fine and came back within reasonable limits. So if you take a look at the next slide, what you'll see here is I wanted to be fully transparent with the final air testing results at Forest Hill. So the Occupational Safe and Health Administration, or OSHA, has adopted a standard protocol for measuring exposure to airborne asbestos in the workplace. OSHA specifies phase contrast microscopy, or PCM, as the measurement method of choice. As such, PCM is currently the most widely used technique for measuring fiber concentrations of air samples, and it is routinely employed at asbestos abatement sites, including clearance testing for minor abatement projects, such as the one that I just explained to you that occurred at Forest Hill. The testing process requires that at least 5 samples be taken at the work site, and each of these 5 samples must test at least 3,000 liters of air in volume. To successfully pass the air test, not one of these 5 samples can be higher than 0.01 fibers per cubic centimeter. And this will all be posted on our website as we post superintendent's reports all the time. As indicated in red on the screen, above 0.010. And so we have to make sure that we are within those limits. In other words, there can be no more than 1 fiber in 100 cubic centimeters of air, whether it is airborne cellulose, human hair, or any other fiber in addition to asbestos. Also displayed on the screen in green are each of the 5 air samples taken at Forest Hill after the abatement was completed. So the abatement was completed, testing was done, all 5 samples tested well below the required threshold. This threshold is referred to as the release criteria, which indicates that the abatement contractor can be released from the job, and that the area is safe for occupants to enter and resume activities. These results were received on Sunday, January 19th, well before students and staff returned to the school. These documents are appropriately logged and on file in the Forest Hill main office, and they are, of course, available for review upon request. And so moving on, also along the same vein with regard to ensuring that we have safe schools built for 21st century success, when we think about safety, we know that it is all of our jobs to ensure that our buildings are safe. This year, we have started a district safety committee. The safety committee brings together staff from various roles and departments from around the district to partner with the New Jersey Schools Insurance Group. Through regularly scheduled quarterly meetings. At these meetings, we are able to field multiple perspectives that identify safety concerns. We're also able to examine potential trends and then work toward solutions that ensure safe schools. With regard to Camden High at Hatch, the SDA will begin roof repairs in February at the Hatch building, home to Camden High and Big Picture Learning Academy Middle School. These repairs, while temporary but effective, will bridge the time between now and when a full roof replacement is slated to be installed during the summer of 2021. Damage to the gym floor caused by the roof leaks to date has been temporarily repaired, so students are able to resume its use for physical education and other activities. So we are pleased with that progress and look forward to continued improvement in that facility. In the same district priority, safer streets at Vets. So every day during the arrival and dismissal of students, there has been a high volume of vehicle traffic at 25th and Hayes Streets adjacent to the Vets Family School. This vehicle pattern presented a risk to students and parents at drop-off and pickup. To resolve this circumstance, the District Office of Safety and Security, led by Senior Director Terry Allen, held multiple meetings with school leaders, parents, and city officials to come up with possible solutions. This joint effort was instrumental in the creation of a new safety plan that includes safety tips for students, pickup and drop-off procedures for parents, and turning 24th and Hayes Street through 26th and Hayes Street into a one-way street. This is a wonderful example of putting students first. When we work together, we can create change, and that change can serve the best interests of our students, families, and community. So we are very grateful to the city, to our own team here, our safety team, to our parents, to our staff members, the principal at VETS, Ms. Sapowski, for working together, and also the ops manager, Ms. Carrie Grimmy, who was instrumental in this process. This was a definite win, and it will ensure that our students are safe in that area. And so the final category of district priorities that I'd like to share a couple of minutes about have to do with updating you with regard to our CUSAC continuum scores. And so as you can see on the chart here, and again, this will be included on the district website, the state has a system and a set of standards by which they measure all public schools throughout the state of New Jersey. CUSAC is the Quality Single Accountability Continuum, and it shows where we should be. It's a guidepost for where we should be in the areas of instruction and program, fiscal management, governance, operations, and also personnel. So last school year, we created targeted improvement plans to focus on two areas that are still below 80%, instruction and program, and also fiscal management. This fall, the county office came to see how we were doing with regard to this plan at an interim visit in November. We are optimistic that we have made some key improvements in both areas, scoring 40%. However, there is above 40%. However, there is still significant room for growth. The county team will be back to see our progress in May, and we must focus on our implementation plans for the next 6 months. In short, the next slide contains a summary so that you can see exactly what it is, the progress areas that we have made, and also what our focal areas are as we continue to improve in these areas. And so in short summary, here are the areas where we made progress during this last review, and our team's focus areas between now and May. Instruction and program saw a 20% increase from the prior visit, with gains made in graduation rates, student performance in ELA and math, that we analyze student subgroup data and are operating an intervention and response system. The team is working on next steps from our curriculum audit across all content areas, which include integrating accommodations and modifications for all types of learners, various levels of texts for each grade level, interdisciplinary connections, 21st century skills, and integration of career education and technology. Fiscal management saw a 13% increase from the prior visit, with gains made in grant oversight, budget planning, operating procedure manuals, capital projects accounting, and health and safety checklists. So we are very pleased with the progress that's been made, and we thank our business office and facilities teams for their hard work, and also our school support teams for their hard work on these progress points. This information was shared at the January 8th State Board of Education meeting, and so the state is also aware of our growth in these areas. So let's give those teams a round of applause for the hard work that they have done. However, even though we are moving forward, if you took a look at the other slide, you'll see that in instruction and programming prior to state intervention, we were at 9%. So we're up to 40%. And we are making gains in the fiscal area as well, with some ups and downs. But we have not arrived, and we cannot rest on our laurels here. Between now and May, the teams are focusing on internal controls, ensuring our audit is complete with limited findings, as well as ensuring procedures are in place so that we don't have repeat findings as well. So we will continue to update you as we get feedback from the county. We are on the right track. We just have to stay focused and continue to move forward. So another bright spot with regard to our financially responsible and fiscally sustainable goal is that our school nutrition department was selected for an administrative review this year and completed it with minimum corrections and highlights. So that's minimal findings. And so we minimize fruit and vegetable options from 2 to 1 with larger portions. However, the school nutrition team will revert back to different multiple offerings, offering a variety of fresh produce to choose from. There will be an increase in whole grains, options to remain compliant with state and federal guidelines. Our school nutrition team will be partnering with our school support team for cross-departmental initiatives to improve resources for not only our students, but our families as well. Sharp School will be implementing an approved share table this year as we plan to implement share tables across the district to minimize food waste. Meal claiming opportunities are being evaluated, so please stay tuned for more information at a later date on some other areas of focus. Please know that our school nutrition team has been commended for their overall performance. Other school districts are partnering with our school nutrition team and are encouraged to use our services while we are improving services across the city. So this is a big win for our food services department. We know it's a revenue generator for us, and so as we stay in good standing, it's only going to be able to help us to continue, especially as we are facing some financial challenges. So again, we are very, very grateful for the work of our school nutrition team. And finally, district highlights. So we have some great highlights I want to quickly share with you before we transition back to the board to acknowledge our well-deserving retirees. In December, we celebrated our crossing guards for the important roles they play in getting our scholars to and from school safe each and every day. A special thank you to our community partner, St. John Church Ministries, for providing the holiday dinner for our crossing guards. And they were so very appreciative of what we shared and of being just acknowledged for the work that they do. Students and staff at Cramer started the year celebrating Three Kings Day. This day remains an important tradition for the Hispanic community in Camden. Thank you to the bilingual staff and students at Cramer who took the time to teach us about Three Kings Day. As I've already alluded to earlier this month, we welcomed our newly elected board members. Ms. Naima Gillespie, if you could stand. Yes. Mr. Falia Leba Martinez. And Mr. Elton Custis. Congratulations to our new board president, Mrs. Martha Wilson. And also to our newly elected vice president, Minister Wasim Muhammad. We are looking forward to, again, moving the work forward as we hold each other accountable for what is supposed to happen in our district. Today's readers, tomorrow's leaders. Veterans Memorial Family School, in partnership with the New Jersey Department of Education, hosted a reading event in December. Students were treated to a read aloud with Superintendent McCombs and Mayor Moran and special performances. Thank you to Dr. Abraham Barreto of Lee and Low Books, who provided all of the students with multicultural books, free multicultural books. Also, thank you to our special guest, Dr. Anthony Wright from the Department of Education, and our advisory board members who showed up and really supported this effort. And as you can see, we had a good time at vet school reading and receiving, and students were able to select the books that they wanted, so they were able to build their at-home libraries. And finally, Coach Dwayne Savage, head coach of the Camden High School varsity football team, was selected by the Philadelphia Eagles as its nominee for the 2019 Don Shula NFL High School Coach of the Year Award. Yes. Awesome. Representing the best at the high school level, Coach Savage was nominated for the National Award, named after the winningest coach in NFL history for his character and integrity, his devotion to serving the community, and his commitment to player health and safety on and off the field. And so we are definitely proud of Coach Savage, our athletic program across the city. And we're just in a very good place when it comes to our athletics. So again, hats off to Coach Savage. And at this time, we'll return to the podium. And at that time, I'll turn it over to President Wilson, who will designate someone to acknowledge our retirees if she doesn't do so herself. Thank you for your attention.
At this time, Vice President Minister Wasim Muhammad will recognize our retirees.
Thank you, Madam President. On behalf of the school board and the district as well, we want to acknowledge these wonderful school leaders in our district. I want to first start Miss Clara Chavez, paraprofessional, 31 years. Mr. Charles Dickens, custodian C, 14 years. Dolores Gibbs, teacher of special education, 25 years. And I apologize in advance if I pronounce his first name incorrect, but Ogwe Khan, teacher of special education, 6 years. Maggie Miller, paraprofessional, 24 years. William Red, custodian A, 16 years. And Wanda Shaw, guidance counselor, 29 years. On behalf of school board president, myself, and the school board members, we want to thank those wonderful individuals for serving our community and wish them the best of luck in their next stage of advancement that they choose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Wasim. At this time, we will have Ms. Anissa Compton, the business administrator, swear in the student reps.
Would Miss Ziana King from Woodrow Wilson High School meet me at the podium? Ziana, would you mind raising your right hand and repeating after me? I, Ziana King. Affirm that I possess. The qualifications for the position. Of student board representative. For the Camden City School District. And that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the position to the best of my ability. Thank you and welcome aboard.
At this time, I'd like to request any questions or comments about my presentation from the advisory board members.
First, you want to ask the students if they have any comments, the student reps.
No problem. We can start with our student reps, and then we'll go to board members. Thank you, President Wilson.
Good afternoon. This is Louis Echeverria from Creative Arts. I just want to say, number one, it is a privilege to be in front of all of you today. And I just want to say some of the good things that have been going on in my school, which is the environment in my school is a wonderful environment. It's a harmonious environment. We are led by our principal, Dr. Davida Cole-Brockington, and she is a wonderful principal. Our staff and our students get along very well. We also see a lot of bonding with between students. Something that I believe we should work on is more PSAT and SAT prep. I believe we as students need to prepare ourselves for these type of tests due to that colleges see and examine all these different types of tests and they look forward to seeing our tests. So I think as a district, I believe that we should study more on those things. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ayana King. from Woodrow Wilson Soar. A couple highlights. Teachers and students have a good bond, just like you said. Teachers have been really good assets in the students' lives. Anything personal that they need to talk about, they're there to help, like counselors. Yeah, they just been, a second family to us, being though we're in a smaller group. So that's been really fun. It's my second year, and I will be graduating this year. Thank you. A couple, things we need to work on. Seniors need to really work on applying for colleges and, getting that extra push to graduate high school and be in college, or if they don't, a next step to being a young adult. So I really think with this change and the upcoming events that's going on, I feel as though we're going to have a great school year and better things for our seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. At this time, do you have any questions from the board members on the superintendent's report? Mr. Nam Nelson?
Sure. So not a question, but just a statement. So thank you, Superintendent, for the update for the asbestos. Also just to the community, thank you for your feedback and your concerns. Please, I encourage you, just on behalf of the board, we take these things seriously. It was a collaborative effort and a quick response from the superintendent and her administration when it was brought to her. But if we didn't receive the information, then we couldn't have inquired. And then after you receive feedback, if you still feel like, it's not sufficient, then I encourage you to continue to ask and make sure things is right. So without a voice, we have nothing. So please continue to communicate, continue to utilize us. And thank you, Superintendent, for your feedback and just making sure we have the information. And as you said, communication is very important.
Any other questions or concerns or any questions about the report from any other board members?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I just would like, Superintendent, for you to stress, as you talked about the CUSAC, to our parents and our community, the importance of CUSAC scores and how it relates to returning local control back to our district and what it means for them, so that we can stress what this is all about as we taking steps going towards that, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. I don't mind at all. Thank you for that question. And as Minister Wasim shared, the gateway into and out of local control is CUSAC. So our CUSAC scores in the areas that I shared, instruction and programming, governance, fiscal, how we handle our operations, et cetera, all of those areas plummeted us into state intervention over 5.5, 6 years ago. And so in order for us to get out of state intervention and to regain local control where the board, this wonderful group of people who we're going to work together in leading this district, but the board would also have their voting authority returned back in the area of governance. The way to do that is to make sure that we score 80% or above in each of the 5 areas that I shared. And so we're almost there. In governance, we've scored about 83%. In operations and personnel, we're at 80%. But the 2 areas that I stressed tonight, instruction and programming, which has to do with curriculum, and also our student achievement, which is measured by the NJSLA assessment, formerly known as the PARC, as well as in the area of fiscal accountability, making sure that we're reducing audit findings and that we're operating with strong internal controls to make sure that we are becoming better and better stewards of every single dime that we receive. That is very important. So we're at about 40%, a little above 40% in each of the areas of instruction and programming and in our fiscal area. As we continue to push, we're looking forward to our May visit from the county superintendent and her team as they evaluate us to see what progress we've made from November until May. Getting local control returned is the decision of the Commissioner and the State Board of Education. And so as we continue to work and as we continue to collaborate with the Department of Education, because we are a state-operated district, we are moving every day closer and closer to gaining local control. I hope that's helpful. And parents, so the question also was, how can parents help? It's, everything that you do, like the display tonight, parents coming, rooting their children on, joining arms with us as we are trying to do everything possible to make sure that our students succeed, being engaged and involved in your schools, teams, making sure that you're asking questions. That all is going to help to hold us as educators accountable in order to make sure that we are doing what we are supposed to be doing. Not that we need you to do that for us to do what we're obligated to do, but it does help to ensure that there's accountability. So continue to be involved, continue to ask questions, continue to ask the hard questions, because that's going to help to make us a better district in the end, and put us safely back into sustainable local control. Because when we get local control, we don't want to come back this way ever again. And so that's what I claim, that we clean everything up right now so that when we move forward, we will continue to grow and progress as a district and be an example for the nation of what can happen to even a traditional public school district as it comes out of local control, enters into local control. Yes.
Welcome to our new student rep. We welcome you. To both of you, we appreciate your feedback from GLOWs and GROWs, and we'll make sure we work with the superintendent to make sure the PSAT and SAT prep, as well as applying for colleges, is something that you guys have, so thank you. And then just quick, lastly, to go along with the highlights, in the past week, I had the opportunity to visit 2 schools that I think represented the district very well. Pride Academy, and we think that that's a school where more of our challenging students go. When you walk through the hallways, it's one of our better schools, and things are very organized, structured, and definitely a great learning environment. So I think that's a wonderful representation of the administration there at Pride Academy, as well as Yorkshire. And again, this was just in the past week. Excellent leadership and the administration. It just looks pretty good as you walk through the hallway, see the kids learning, the interaction, and things just being organized and structured. So I think it says a lot, along with, a lot of other things that's going on in the district, but just wanted to highlight those 2 schools for the past week. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to commend you guys going after and doing the Accelerated Student Achievement, the Family Aid, Financial Aid Night. My question and comment would be is, how many more of these would we have before the end of the year, being the fact that our student representation mentioned they need more support as seniors? I see FAFSA as right in the middle of that. So what else are we doing after our February 5th event? How many more events would we have throughout the year?
So that's a great question. Our Senior Director of Student Support Services, Mr. Larry James, and his team worked to put this event forward, seeing a definite need to bring some excitement and energy to our families and our students and really motivate them to get involved in the FAFSA night. After we have this FAFSA night, what we will be able to do is take a look at, okay, what percentage of students are left in the district, juniors and seniors, that we have to make sure that we get enrolled. And then after we find out that information, we'll be able to plan other events. We also utilize our guidance counselors in order to help us with our college and career readiness work. And so we will use them to help plan accordingly for each of the schools. But that's a great question. Their team is working on it. Sure.
One more piece to that is,
Sure.
Is this information also being put out in Spanish?
That is a very good question. I'm going to lean. I am not, wait. The answer is yes. I didn't have my glasses on, so that's why I couldn't see my team. But my team is always here, ready to answer questions. But yes, that's a great question. No problem.
Ms. Gillespie?
Madam Superintendent, can you
Yes.
share with the public details on the status of state aid?
Absolutely. So with regard to emergency aid, I know there have been, we have been providing many different updates around emergency aid, going on about 8 or 9 months now. And we have been working very collaboratively with the Department of Education, along with the County Superintendent's Office and the County Business Administrator, to really ensure that the state is confident in exactly how much money we as a district need in order to close the deficit. So we submitted an application back in the spring, and we were asked for supporting documentation, and we have also been asked to put forth 2 to 3 plans on how we can minimize the deficit for this school year by cutting in areas, any areas that we can, so that the state is able to have a number that they are confident in, that they can advocate for us to the governor to be able to receive. Last week, we met with the Department of Education along with our team here at the district office, and we met from 9 o'clock until 2:30. I'm only saying that because I want you to know that the state is rolling up their sleeves with us and working in collaboration to drill down to the numbers to ensure that they're pleased with them. This Thursday, as a follow-up meeting, so last week we met with them, and this week, Thursday, they will be coming back to Camden, where we sit down right in the conference room with our teams and continue to dig deep. And we are hopeful that once they are confident in the number that we need in order to close our deficit, even though we've given them that, but they have to do their checks and balances, that we will be able to receive that aid. So we're still waiting. Long story short, I just want to be very transparent. We're waiting, but we're working as we're waiting. And we're collaborating as we're waiting, and we're being fully transparent with where our finances are, because, as I said before, we don't want to be in this situation next year as we are looking at our budgeting. So that's kind of where we are.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Mr. Custis?
Thank you, Madam President. Madam Superintendent, how do we as a board participate in reviewing and updating new policies before it gets approved by you?
So that's a great question. As new board members coming on to the team, and also as we think about our history in going from from having having low scores in governance to now having scores of 80% in governance, we know that we are on track in that area to receive local control back. So what I'm saying is we are poised to be able to receive that. So as we are becoming a collaborative board, my idea is to work toward the goal of making sure that all of our board members have all of the certifications that they need, that they have all of the training that they need. And so myself, along with Ms. Sam Price, our general counsel, I know that she has already set up a mini retreat that's going to be coming up, and in that discussion, in that retreat, there will be discussions about how board members can engage in many processes. And so at this time, I would say that if there are any questions about policy, if there are any questions about updates, if there's anything that board members would like to give input in, that they can definitely direct that to our senior counsel. Yep. That's a great question. Thank you, Mr. Custis.
And can I respond?
Please.
Madam Superintendent, I have met with the superintendent and Sam, our counsel, in reference to some questions, in reference to our board, in reference to our training, and the dates that those things are taking place. I have given the names of the workshops, the locations, so those things will be presented to you as well. And also, just to let you know that as a board and working with the superintendent, that we are in a position that if we need, we will write a letter to the commissioner and to the governor on behalf of this board, on behalf of the Camden City Board of Education, our students and families that we represent. Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Yes.
last thing I have, Madam Superintendent, is that I would like to know what we are doing. First of all, thank you for exploring the interest of adding kindergarten for Valletta Cream. I went to grammar school there, so it's really important that we continue to serve that community. I've been in that community for the last 20 years of our lives, right? And I want to understand, what are we doing as a district and what families are we going after, being the fact that there is new development of new families that are going to be moving in. So they're going to probably be moving in mid-year. So how are we going to kind of make sure that before these families move in, if they move in, and then are the classes or the spaces going to be closed for the families that are moving there? Or what are we doing to make sure that we're servicing the right community for that?
That's another excellent question. And so all of the questions are excellent, but what I will say to that is that prior to even making the decision to convert the Cream School from a pre-K to 8 to a pre-K only school, we did have conversations with the Housing Authority and also some of the members of the authority to find out exactly what the plans were for the redevelopment of that area. And so getting that information actually helped us to see what demographic would be moving in. And so that is part of what we use to say, okay, we need to make sure we have strong early childhood opportunities in the area. And as we are continuing to assess and reassess and get information from the Housing Authority and do our own outreach, because under the direction of Marquita Nesbitt, who's our Director of Early Childhood, and Ms. Tanya Gillespie, who's our outreach specialist, they are constantly looking at trends and constantly going on foot even, knocking on doors to figure out what it is that we will need moving forward. And so we continue to engage in that process to make sure that we are being responsive in how we staff the building with the anticipated needs coming in. So we will continue until we refine that number. You're welcome.
Superintendent.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for all of your comments and for your questions. And at this time, I will turn the meeting over to our General Counsel for the public comment portion.
Thank you. The Camden City School District welcomes the attendance and comments from all members of the public at its meetings. This public comment period is your time to be heard on the agenda items in the meeting. Each person who signed up to comment will have 3 minutes. You'll be notified when your 3 minutes are up. You cannot yield your time to another person. When it is your turn to speak, please remain at the podium and address all your comments to the General Counsel or the Superintendent. At the end of the 3 minutes, please be advised that the microphone will be cut off. Please conduct yourself in a respectful and courteous manner. The board can prohibit language that is inappropriate or harassing. So for anyone whose comments or actions either harass, intimidate, or threaten the safety of any person, we will provide you with a warning or immediately end your comment time. In addition, if you curse, use vulgar language, or make personal attacks, we will provide you with a warning or end your comment time. After the public comment period is closed, the superintendent or her designee may address your questions to the extent provided by law. Our first commenter tonight is Karen Borelli-Luke.
Good evening. Karen Borelli-Luke from Brim Medical Arts High School. I'm coming before you. I haven't been here for a while because I didn't feel that there was a need for the longest, but I'm very frustrated, I'm very confused, and I'm very concerned. I told everybody to hold tight, that have faith in the system. We knew back in April we were losing a science teacher to retirement. Dr. Lewis left, and that was in October. We haven't had anybody in that classroom for those seniors since October, except for substitutes. As the second VP for the Camden Education Association, I'm privy to some conversations. We were told that there's not a freeze for science, math, and English. yet we haven't had any science teacher since October. Then I'm being told on another end from another admin that there is a freeze and we're not going to get a teacher. So I'm getting confused. And then I'm looking in the DTLR report. We have money for promotions and even other hires outside of those content areas. So I'm confused. I'm concerned because now admin came and is going to have an art teacher, a health teacher, an in-class support teacher, and an English teacher now take over those classes, and they're not going to be science. The seniors already sent out their transcripts that say clearly science course, but now it is not going to be a science course, and what topic are we going to teach? Advanced health, whatever that is, because there's no curriculum, there's no book, and this class starts on Monday. And we have to do lesson plans and a lesson. Clearly, nobody's going to care as long as there's a teacher standing in front of these kids or a substitute. And that's not caring about our students. That's not caring about our staff. That's not caring about trying to move forward to get a science teacher at Brim Medical Arts High School, where the kids get double the math and double the science. I don't know who that's fair for. So I'm really standing before you as I'm just very ashamed that I told everybody to have faith in the system because I believed in the system. And I'm shame on everybody here that we have not pulled enough together our resources. I see other people being transferred middle of the year to other schools, consolidating other classes and everything, and we can't find a science teacher?
Thank you, Ms. Borelli. Dr. Brown Bartlett?
Good evening. Thank you for having me speak this evening. I'm Dr. Brown Bartlett. I'm known in the district as Dr. Beebe. I'm a proud Camden City educator for the past 21 years. I'm here this evening to advocate for our middle school student athletes. The board consolidated the position of health and physical education supervisor 3 years ago, and the last year that Mr. Gasparovich ran our athletic program at the middle school level was 2017-18. For the past 2 years, at that point in time, a small stipend of about $1,000 was offered for a middle school coach to step up and organize all the athletics in the district. At that time, none of us did for $1,000, so the position was then offered to the two ADs from Camden High and Woodrow Wilson at $18,000 apiece. The ADs, the high school athletic directors' priorities should be their high school athletes. I am a product of someone that got a college scholarship due to my high school AD who helped me significantly. So, needless to say, the athletics of the middle school have fallen through the cracks for the past 2 years. I'm talking about a lack of communication, last-minute changes in the format of programs being offered to our athletes, inequity of the time and distribution and attendance between Renaissance charters and traditional public schools. I have emails and dates and times that I have 1 minute and 49 seconds, so I can't say all that to you right now. But let me give you quick examples. So last year in the spring, we were ready for our middle school fitness competition, which had been postponed twice. Traditionally, our fitness citywide is offered in February for our middle schools. It didn't occur in February. It was postponed till March. In March, it was postponed till May. So May comes, we have all our athletes in the front hallway dressed and ready at Yorkshire School to get on the bus, and no bus shows. No communication comes about the bus. And then we reach out and make phone calls and find out, oh yeah, transportation got messed up. There's not going to be a fitness competition this year. Additionally, last year, the middle school track and field day was postponed. The elementary boys track and field was postponed. The elementary girls was postponed. And Mr. Hickson and Mr. Phillips combined them into one-day event where we had students come out to the high school field and run in all disorganized, wrong age groups. Yesterday, our basketball season was supposed to start last week. Last year, we were told there was no basketball season originally in 2018-19. We were told no basketball season. Yorkshire didn't get physicals for their students. They were disappointed. We started to run an in-house intramural program. One day, a parent approached me in the hallway and asked why we're not playing in the City League, and I said, I was told there was no City League. Miss Perry waits till the parent walks away and says to me, Bibi, they started a City League, but we didn't get informed, so that's lack of communication. The format changed. This has been going on all week about the volleyball tournament. It was supposed to be a double elimination tournament for the middle school athletes, and it's been changed. It's going back and forth. I don't even know what tomorrow's volleyball tournament is going to look like.
Thank you, Dr. Brown-Bollier. Keith Benson.
Good evening, board members. So I think the first unveiling of the new board members was earlier in January, and I missed it, but I got some text and phone calls about it. So one thing that sort of stuck out to me on the day that I welcome the new board members. You know, some of you guys I've known in fits and starts over the course of a few years. But on a day that should have been sort of really non-eventful, apparently some comments were said that, that really rubbed people the wrong way. Like essentially that the unions should stay in their lane. And I think had the person who actually said it, I think is Minister Muhammad, actually knew all the things that we do, you would never say anything that ignorant and stupid, not to mention the fact that you and I are neighbors. So if you had any problem at all about the things we were doing as a union, you know you could simply knock on my door and talk to me.
Mr. Benson, please direct your comments to myself and the superintendent.
Thank you. But instead of doing that, the moment when new board members are coming on board, now we want to have the moment to say, you know what, the union should stay in our lane. So here we are. Should we stay in our lane when when our union dollars, when families are in need for funerals, that we donate? Should we stay in our lane then? Should we stay in our lane when we're donating toys, hats, and coats? Should we stay in our lane when folks who are doing entrepreneurship competitions are knocking on our door asking us for donations? Should we stay in our lane then? Should we stay in our lane then when folks who are rendered homeless due to fires come and ask for collections? Should we stay in our lane then? Should we stay in our lane when we are working with community members to try and help us get our right to vote back, which got the new board members here? Should we stay in our lane then? I would submit that as you're saying we're staying in our lane, anything that impacts kids, anything that impacts schools, which is varied and vast, is our lane. I would also say, if the board was doing their job prior to Ms. McComb's arrival, our budget wouldn't look the way it does. We've been coming up here for years asking the board members to say, yo, ask Paymont questions about his appointments, what he's doing with our budget. And the board refused to. But being I have 20 seconds left, I will ask the board members this. When you are asked to vote on New Camden High becoming a KIP, how will you vote? You guys don't know this. KIP was pre-approved from the prior superintendent for 2 new high schools. Where y'all see 2 high schools being built? So you guys will be asked. I would like to know what your answer would be when that time comes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Brian Morton.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members. My name is Brian Morton, 113 State Street, Camden, New Jersey. Coming tonight, much like I did at the previous meeting, it's sort of like the open secret that no one's rallying around yet, and I know we spoke about the budget, but as the principal has shared, as Ms. Principal Rahman has shared, as a number of families we know that have seen some cuts to their programs have shared with me, the impacts are starting to be felt. And I know we're acting in good faith with the governor and the commissioner. And I know they probably, have our best in mind. But having me in your mind does nothing to solve the day-to-day struggles happening within the classrooms. Has nothing to do with the fact that the reality is that we are not fiscally sound, so we're going to be applying for new aid in 4 months when May comes, because the budget comes back up again in May. So as a new board, I would implore you to put that lawyer to work and see if she can put a pen to pad on your behalf. Implore your board secretary. The superintendent, I believe, has to appear next month in Trenton. She'd be we need to rally together. Keith, I think this is like one of those star-crossed moments when there are elements of common alignment and the best interest to advocate not just for students but for funding, because it impacts facilities, it impacts jobs, it impacts what the teachers and principals can do every day. It is going to take a village to advocate. It is going to take a village to advocate for us to get on sustainable fiscal ground. And so I know while oftentimes we do get caught up in some of our differences and our nuances, I do believe this is one of those times when we can all agree that this is in the best interest, that we speak out on behalf of our district and on behalf of the funding that we need, because we see what's happening. I do have one question. Earlier in your superintendent's report, you had mentioned that Hatch was getting a full roof rehab in 2021. And I just wanted there's two questions. One is, why 2021 if Camden High is back online and the building may potentially be empty? And the second part of the question is that tied to the funding SDA was supposed to dedicate to those buildings that were serving as transition units? And if so, we need to call SDA out on giving money to a building.
Thank you, Mr. Morton. Sarah Joslin?
Sarah Joslin, 1234 Forge Road in Cherry Hill. I want to welcome the new board members. I'm glad that you are willing to serve, and I expect that you will continue to ask good questions. I wanted to be thankful here to see that H.B. Wilson students are going to visit Canva. I think it's great to have kids from a younger school going to see the older schools in the district, and of course they're going there for a Black History program, so that is a very positive thing for them to do. I see that also the students, I believe from Davis, are going to visit City Hall and the New Jersey State House to learn about government at state and local levels, visiting with the mayor and so forth. I encourage them at that time to talk about the importance of Census 2020. They're going on February 4th. This is a very current topic. It's an important topic for Camden, and that certainly should be among the items that are talked about both at a local and a state level. I did have some other comments. CUSAC for instruction and program also includes the attendance. And I would like to see the attendance accountability data. We know that if you have chronic absenteeism, that's a negative effect. And so I think as we go through the year, we should get some kind of update as we go along so we can understand where we are on that point. Of course, graduation rate is another important factor that goes into that, and we all want to see our students graduate. I want to also talk about update of the revised curriculum and remind people that you can give input. The posted curriculum is online. If you look at the student learning standards, I should correct that. The student learning standards are online, and they already have 4 of them up there. We will be reviewing as a state all of them, but anybody, parents, board members, and so forth, I refer you to the State Board of Education website to look at these draft student learning standards. Public comment will be from late February into early March, so there is a time for giving public comment on these standards. I do not know the status of the equity plan that Camden submitted. I know that it was pending and you are waiting for feedback. Again, I thank you for the report. I appreciate all that is being done, and I welcome the new board members. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jocelyn. Janelle McCray.
Good evening. I have a long list. Everyone who knows who I am. The first thing I have an issue with is the number of vacancies that was addressed. But one of the things that I'm noticing is we have a lot of teachers who are leaving the district. And as one of the teachers who recently left the district asked me to ask you, why is there no exit interview for those who are leaving the district so that data can be compiled to identify exactly what the issue is and why these teachers are leaving? The second thing that was brought up to my attention is with the lack of Perkins funding approved programs in the district, how much money have we lost with Perkins due to poor scheduling, and what steps are you guys implementing in order to prohibit any more depletion? Thirdly, next month, February, is CTE month. I've yet to see any publication of exploration for our students regarding that. Also, with the upcoming presidential election, where is the political education curriculum in our secondary scheduling? One of the biggest issues that has come across me this season from a number of teachers is the school safety. I remember back in October, one of the parents who is here today, also with the parent I do not see, addressed the issues of safety and students inside of the schools. And since then, there have been a number of accounts, teachers being attacked, students being permanently injured, and I just want to know, how are we not fostering the preschool to prison pipeline due to the lack of disciplinary structure within the district? Students are not being properly disciplined, and they then leave us and have this unrealistic conclusion for their actions. Next, how can a teacher receive department chair position without credentials? I just feel as though that is a poor placement decision, especially when it deals with a very important segment of our population. We've already discussed QSAC. Once again, I would like to know, where is the research development in the English curriculum? Where does the district stand with the implementation of the LGBTQ history curriculum that the state just approved? Also, are there any plans to incorporate intensive mental health training and a protocol for certified personnel to execute? And last but not least, with the new school board members, what segment of ESSA are you concentrating on to partner with the superintendent in order to make our school systems better?
Thank you, Ms. McCray. Sean Brown.
Good evening. First, I just want to say to Ms. Yolanda, I can't see her. No, hello. I don't really know you, but this is my first meeting since you've been, this is my first meeting that both of us have been to. So congratulations. I think I know everybody else, but congratulations. And I look forward to having a weekly lunch with you like I do with all the other board members. They'll tell you about it later. It's just not true. I'm just a joke. Second, I also want to congratulate Aname for being, look at the look on her face, for being acting chief of staff. I've gotten to know her in the last few years, and I think that she's very She's brilliant. She gives extremely good feedback. And when she's in her zone, amazing things happen. I enjoy the limited work I get to do with Superintendent McComb's team, and I know how much pride you take in having a strong team with huge challenges. And I know that position is so critical because it touches just so many things, and I just wish her great success. And then the last thing, and what I want to spend the rest of my time on is to ask, where'd she go? To ask the one question maybe Ms. McCray didn't ask in hers, which I thought was very thorough, detailed, and important. Madam Superintendent, in your report, when you talk about CUSAC and on the curriculum and instruction section, my understanding is that through kindergarten to 12th grade in every subject area, there should be an updated and approved curriculum for the content areas. But beyond that, my also understanding is that it should match not only the federal and state standards and the community needs of what should be taught, but also match textbooks, technology, teacher training. It all has to be aligned. So I know we've had conversations about Summit Learning, for example. I think that this, as this district faces serious questions about its budget and looks for opportunities, what I did, and I know it's just 1 month's report, what I didn't see in this month's report, and maybe I'm completely off on this, and if so, you'll tell me at some point, is does the district have curriculum teams that are able to update the areas that have not been updated in the last 5 years? So for example, I know for a fact that social studies for high school was because I had talks with people in those teams, and the social studies curriculum is stellar. It could be a national example in terms of how it includes African American history and the questions that it asks and the prompts that it has for teachers. It's just really, really strong. But I know other subject areas probably have an opportunity for growth. In that process, we should see, again, how it corresponds to the technology and other things that are used. So either tonight or at some point, I think it would just be good to have an update on that. Thank you. I wish you all success. The work is tough ahead, and we'll just figure out where we're going to go.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Jennifer Perez.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Perez. I'm here today to speak about the emergency aid funding and wanting to know if you can provide an update from the last board meeting with the budget being on freeze. How long will the freeze last, and what changes do the parents have to look forward to the upcoming school year? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Aretha Turrington.
Good evening. My name is Aretha Turlington. I'm a parent advocate leader for Parents for Great Camden Schools, and I'm here also to talk about the budget cut because my daughter goes to Camden High. She's in 11th grade. She's a teen mother, and she had a program in her school from school-based, and school-based, and the program was took out of her school. And it was a program that my daughter really needed as a teen mother because they did like counseling classes in the with the program, and I just wanted to know, is that the reason the program was taken out, because of the budget? And when the budget comes back in, will the program be put back into her school? And
Thank you, Ms. Turlington. Aday Ingram.
Good afternoon, board members. Hello, my name is Adea Ingram, and I am a parent advocate leader working with Parents for Great Camden Schools. Back in December, emergency aid was given to many other districts except Camden. Having a deficit taking place means that Camden schools are not being considered for any money, which will put a strain on many schools. My main concern is that transportation will be taken away from the students and parents who depend on commissioned bus transportation. No transportation means poor attendance in schools. Poor attendance in schools will result in students not being able to go to the school of their choice. My question to the school board is, what is the plan for our children's education if the deficit isn't fixed? When are we getting the money that we was promised? And will the commissioner update the families? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ingram. Tanisha Parker.
Hello. Good evening, board members. My name is Tanisha Parker. I'm a proud parent advocate. I wanted to speak about the past deficit. As things are looking, we made a bigger hole from keeping vets open. If we do not get emergency funding from the state, has anyone thought about what happens next? Because I certainly have. Will we have to, in turn, maybe close additional schools or have to stop the preschool programs altogether? Honestly, neither one is an option. I am speaking as a mother of preschool-age children. We are halfway through the school year, and I still have yet to hear about any solutions of any kind about this over $35 million deficit. A freeze on the funds is not a solution to me. There are still teachers that need to be hired. We cannot just sit and wait until the last minute to have solutions. We need answers now. The time is now to figure this out. Our children depend on these schools and this money.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. That concludes the public comment portion of tonight's meeting. I will now turn it over to the superintendent.
Let's go.
All right, thank you, Sam, and thank you to everyone, board members included, as well as our parents and community members for all of the questions that have been raised. As always, we will take the opportunity to address as many questions as possible here, and if there are other questions that we have to go back and research, we will do that, and I'll be sure to get in touch with any individuals who need a follow-up, or my team will get in touch with you in their areas of expertise. And so, with regard to, okay. With regard to, there were a few questions that came up around financial aid and the FAFSA night that we discussed. So I wanted to just address some of that with more input from the team. The financial aid night will take place again on February 5th. So if anyone was not here, it's really important that you help us spread the word. We will hold an additional financial aid night based on the completion of numbers after February 5th. All juniors and seniors are required to attend. So they have been given that a requirement. Robocalls have been sent out. We've posted it on social media and just really been canvassing all over to get the interest up. We are also visiting every high school and doing a full audit and holding staff accountable for raising the FAFSA completion rates. So it is a definite collaborative effort. There were many questions that came up with regard to staffing concerns, whether it was on the line of vacancies or on the line of thinking about what we can do for the future to diminish or to minimize vacancies and the impact of those vacancies. So while we do have a spending freeze that is still in effect, we are still actively working to recruit for science, math, special education, and bilingual positions. These subject areas are hard to fill positions, which we continue to find very difficult to fill across the district, and this is not just the first year. This is also something that's being echoed by county superintendents, so other superintendents, other of my colleagues in Camden County have been talking about this as well as across the state. And so These positions are I said that, a need statewide, but it doesn't mitigate the fact and/or the need that we have vacancies in some of our classrooms. That does not dismiss us from the obligation of making sure that we do everything possible to develop those recruitment and retention efforts. And so this is an area that we are tirelessly working to solve across our classrooms. The promotions and transfers in other content areas and administrative positions are happening simultaneously with our search for science teachers, not in substitution of. We continue to review and source for candidates, and we appreciate your continued support and flexibility in your roles at BRIM, as well as to the second vice president of CEA, and to Mrs. Borelli, who spoke earlier. To the question about offboarding, we are preparing an exit interview process, and we'll roll it out by the end of February. And so I want to just pause here, too, just to clarify a little bit. The hiring freeze is in place. It was one action taken to see how we could lower the deficit internally within the district. So looking at every single vacancy that we have and figuring out which vacancies we need to prioritize. However, even these areas that I cited, like high vacancy areas in math, science, SPED, bilingual, we have lifted that freeze as needed. Even if there is another position that is outside of these areas, I have directed my staff to let me know, and we have constant communication about which positions are most critical that need to be filled, even if they're not amongst the high needs areas. And so we are still sourcing for candidates. Any vacancies that exist, some of them are because these are persistently challenging areas, and we don't have candidates who can fill the positions. And so again, we will continue to keep you updated. We will continue to share with you the nuances that are occurring with regard to hiring freeze, but I want you to know that we are prioritizing those areas, even the areas that are not in high needs areas, as they have impact on our schools. So we will continue to bring you updates in these areas with regard to BRIM. Ms. Borelli-Luke, you have been an advocate for BRIM, and as we are, I hope you're able to work with the school leader and the school support officer that's assigned to that building to continue to advocate for the needs of BRIM. We know and are very much aware of the science vacancy that exists there, and we are doing everything possible to try to fill that vacancy, and along with many others across the district. And so we ask for you to continue to advocate. We ask for you to continue to if you have individuals who you know of who could be good for these positions, to let us know. Our DTLR team is also conducting monthly hiring fairs at the central office, where we are hiring people on the spot. We are promoting our positions in different places. And so we won't stop doing whatever it is that we need to do. We don't even complain about it, because our students deserve that and that much more. But I just want to be very honest with you about what we are doing, what gap we know continues to exist with our vacancies, and we are still advocating to make sure that we close as many of them as possible so the impact is minimized. We will continue to bring more information in the area of staffing and vacancies to your attention. With regard to middle sports, thank you, Ms. Brown-Bartlett, for sharing. I'm not sure if you're still here. Yes, thank you for sharing your concerns around middle school athletics. I just received an email thread last evening, I believe, or early this morning when I was checking, with some information that is probably similar to what you're talking about. So middle school athletics has certainly been a concern over the last couple of years. Thank you for your advocacy in this area. The information made its way to my staff just this week. And again, as I said, it made its way to me very recently. And we are working now to determine next steps to ensure that middle school athletics is straightened out as soon as possible. Thank you for the feedback with regard to our high school athletic directors. They have a lot that they're juggling, and they've been very open with me about that. They are doing everything that they can to support us, but you're absolutely right. When we had to cut back on positions, as enrollment decreases, we have to cut back on certain positions. There are some positions that we cut back on, and now we're seeing that we need to figure out another way, because our idea of having the high school athletic directors be able to help to develop a pipeline of great opportunities in athletics for our middle school students. So we're cultivating that talent as they move up and they're ready for high school. That was the impetus for us utilizing them. But we're finding out every plan that you put into place, it doesn't always work out the way you want. And so now we have that information and that feedback, and we are taking it back to figure out what we can do differently in this area while we're under tight financial constraints to also meet the needs of our students, not only their academics, but their athletic pursuits. And that's a tall order to follow in the financial climate that we're in. But we continue to move forward, and we'll keep you updated as more information, not just you, when I say you, I mean everyone, updated as to the progress that we will make in middle school sports. With regard to the new Camden High School, there was one mention of this. The new Camden High School will be a traditional public high school. With regard to Hatch, the roof will receive temporary repairs now, meaning as soon as the SDA can mobilize a contractor. The roof ultimately needs to be fully replaced. This is a very large project for which the SDA needs at least 1 year to plan, design, and procure the necessary resources. The district plans on keeping Hatch in its building inventory. So even though the building will be vacated, that building will still be district property. So it is still our district property, and we have to decide what it is with the engagement that we're going to begin doing with the community to figure out what is the best usage of Hatch moving forward once it's vacated. So the district plans on keeping Hatch in its building inventory, and so the roof repair for the longer term will still be necessary. With regard to advocacy for funding and emergency aid update, thank you all for your advocacy. We appreciate your advocacy. We appreciate your desire to want to advocate. And so in my role, because this is a state-operated district, of course I'm working in collaboration with the Department of Education because I report to the Commissioner of Education. And so as we are working, we appreciate the parallel process of advocacy and planning for advocacy that is happening. And so parent and community advocacy on behalf of our students is always a powerful tool. It is also a fundamental right of each citizen. I don't think there's much for me to state. We already know it. We're already aware of it. But I just want to make sure no one feels that their advocacy rights are being pressed down upon. It's just a parallel process. Our team has to do what is necessary in working with the department, but we also know that parents and community members have every right to advocate. But as I've shared earlier, and will continue to do so until we get a firm answer from the state does continue to work very closely with us. They are working side by side to ensure that our request for aid is fully vetted. Remember that the district's deficit is not a new one, nor is the financial distress we face a new situation. The state, in good consciousness, must use strict scrutiny in ensuring that our request for aid is not being done frivolously, as our financial house, we know, is being put back in order. We welcome this scrutiny because it also forces us to ensure that we are putting strategies in place that are not just appropriate for the short term, but also for the future, long-term sustainability in our fiscal house. So there is room for all of it, for hard work, collaboration, rolling up our sleeves, and advocacy. It's a both and process. And so we look forward to keeping you updated so you will know how to guide your advocacy efforts. With regard to curriculum, We have prioritized curriculum work and will have pacing guides and accommodations and modifications included in our curriculum by the beginning of next school year in grades 3 through 8. In regards to our CTE program, we are working closely with the state to correct scheduling issues in terms of CTE. Also, we have been auditing all programs. Our school support team has been at the forefront of auditing all of our program clusters and addressing issues with state accreditation. We look forward to promoting our CTE programs next month as well. And so with regard to CTE, we know that there have been several conversations over several years, and there's much frustration with regard to the status of CTE in the district. We know that we have to make sure that we are equipping our students with multiple options upon graduation so that whatever pathway they choose, whether it's college, career, CTE, all of that they have been given the opportunities to be able to make those choices wisely. We do know also that we are overhauling our CTE program. New leadership has been put in place in our CTE program. There are areas that we know that we need to work on with regard to our CTE programming, and we are doing that also in collaboration with the state. And so already we have had programs that we thought were in a certain place of approval to be fully approved, and we're working on getting more of those approved so that by the end of this school year, we're able to have more of those programs fully approved and accredited. We are not working in a silo anymore with getting CTE back on track. We are working along with the support from Dr. Karen Campbell, who is over our grants area, and our contacts in the Department of Education, not limited to Ms. Michelle Dowdy, in order to make sure that everything is in place. And so this is an area that is definitely critical. I want to make sure I have not missed. There have been many comments that have come up, though, regarding the impact of emergency aid and whether or not we as a district team are really thinking about critically what would happen if we didn't get emergency aid. We've been having that conversation since the spring. We laid out fully for the state and fully for the county that if we don't get emergency aid, A, B, C, and D are going to happen. Number one, our student achievement, the gains that we have made, the steady incremental gains, we would backslide. We would move back in that area because we would not be able to have the interventionist supports and the staffing models in place to drive instruction. We have been very vocal, very open, and very transparent with everyone from the commissioner on down to what that would mean. Number two, it would mean that we are attributing to an inequitable system of education in the city of Camden, New Jersey, meaning that we would be leaving one school type behind without the funding that is necessary. I have said over and over and over again, every parent has the right to choose whatever school type they desire to have their child to attend, but there must be equity. And so we must continue to push for equity, and we have shared how we would be creating a caste system of education in this city if our district is not able to prop itself up to be propped up by our own efforts and with the efforts of the state, because we are a state-operated district and there's a responsibility that the state has to us. We are the only state-operated district that is fully still in state intervention. And so, again, yes, if you want to know if we've been advocating, absolutely. If you want to know if we're frustrated, absolutely. If you want to know that we still have to go in and continue to collaborate and continue to provide every single document and piece of information that's being requested of us financially, absolutely. We will continue to do that. And as I said before, and forgive me for being repetitive, but I want to make sure this is clear, that does not cancel out anyone else's need for advocacy or desire for right to advocate on behalf of our students. We just have to do what we need to do, and you have to do what you need to do. This is a collective effort. It's not a point the finger thing, because that's not going to get us what we need for right now. And so again, I just wanted to make sure that's clear, because I want you as parents to know that we are not just sitting back and waiting. we are working and we are doing what we can. And so again, I think Mr. Morton shared, I'll be appearing before the State Board of Education. That's been moved to March now. And that information will be shared out so that you will know when I will be able to when I will be making a report to the State Board of Education in March on our progress. It's an annual report. So that you can also come and make your request known to the State Board of Education. Ms. McCray, if you're still here, you asked a laundry list of questions. Are you still here, Ms. McCray? She left. Okay. Ask a laundry list of questions, and our team will get those questions answered, and hopefully we can get a contact information for her so we can provide not only for her, because I know other people are interested in the responses, but at this time, I would rather be accurate than try to just to go through a list and give a pat answer for each area. I want to thank you all for your attention, and at this time, I will turn the meeting, I will open up for board members for any comments that you may have. So I'll turn it over to our board president to facilitate that portion. Any comments regarding the public portion or anything else?
Any board members have any questions or responses? Ms. Atwood?
Yes, I just want to tell the parents that we're all in this together, and you certainly are free to write the Commissioner of Education, the Department of Education, and express your concerns, as we have drafted a letter that we're going to send out soon as well.
Thank you, Ms. Atwood.
Thank you. Anyone else? At this time, I'll turn it back over to... Should he respond to?
Thank you, Madam President. And we thank you and the whole community for your advocacy for state funding so that we can continue to educate our children. But however, since my name was publicly called out, and I usually don't respond, and I will always respond with class, style, and dignity, because not only do I represent this august body up here in the board, I also represent the community, and also as a parent, and have children watching. But I just want to first say, I was educated in the traditional Camden public schools at Camden High School. I wouldn't say privileged to be educated in a private school as an executive of a private school, but I was educated in the traditional Camden City public schools, Parkside Elementary School, Hatch Middle School, and then Camden High School. And I think the product that the traditional public schools at that time put out was an excellent product that allowed me to take my talent and skills, but my academic talent I can talk about now, on to University of New Mexico, where I graduated, a proud graduate, in 4 years after playing major college basketball with that robust schedule and still graduating in 4 years. However, this gives me an opportunity to, as our parents and students are watching and we as adults are modeling behavior, because education, as I always say, is just not in the classroom. It's the responsibility as we as community members, neighbors, and parents, that the process of education goes on 24/7. So since certain things were done in the public that is just not a great idea to name call, I think we learned that in elementary school, to call people by name, because I don't want to allow anyone to allow me to model a bad behavior of attacking individuals. I think we do better as a community when we go back and forth with ideas and principles rather than individuals, that we don't make it as personal. Because when you attack persons, and this is me, this is the standard that I stand on, that I would never attack persons, that I attack principles and ideas and people's behaviors, because we can leave the names out, because attacking individuals is showing younger people, the students that's watching, some of the student reps that may still be here, or as they turn it on Channel 19, they can see better behavior modeled from adults. And that part of education and how we had public discourse, that we can disagree with one another based on ideas and not individuals. But I would never allow anyone, anybody in the community to allow me to break my principles of that I live by, that I don't go after individuals, that I will attack principles and ideas, but not people. And I think that is what we would call the American way or the un-American way. But I just think this is not a good idea. And I just wanted to respond to that, but I will not respond to the person, because I don't attack persons, I attack ideas and principles. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Wasim. I would just like to take this opportunity to say that this isn't new, what we're going through right now. In 2005, 2007, this process started. It began when we had to start thinking about vouchers. That was the first thing that came up against us, that was coming up against our budget. We worked together as a team then. We're going to continue to work together as a team now. As a parent, as the president of the District Parent Advisory Council, we marched not only in Washington, we also marched in Trenton. We went to the State House, we went to the courthouse, and we stood and we advocated on behalf of our children within this school district, because they are worth it. We are not going to lay down on it now. This isn't the first time, as I said. It's not just the board, the unions. We all have been in this situation and had to work together to make it happen. We're not going to turn our back. First of all, we have a state-appointed superintendent who is going through hell to make sure that everything that she needs to get done to make it possible for the state to work along with us to give us the funding. Now, if we give her the opportunity, first of all, to make that happen. Remember, she's state-appointed by the commissioner. He's working with her. This didn't happen overnight. It's not going to go away overnight. There are things that have been showing up in the audits for years that have been brought forth, and it didn't just start. So they have to make sure that those things are intact before we can even get through CUSAC. And that's the main thing that you have to understand. We are a public school district, but the funding that we have within this district now isn't just for public schools as it was in the past. We are now talking about charter schools. We're talking about Renaissance schools. We're talking about transportation to get our students to those schools the parents have made choices for their children. We understand how that feels, because we've had students who are still walking 2.5 miles to get to a public school. So we are all in this together. So I don't think that we should take the opportunity to start pointing fingers or turning on one another. What we need to do is to come together, collaborate when and where we can, and do the best thing on behalf of our children, our parents, and this community. Because education is what is going to help to get our children out of these schools, into colleges, or in technical schools, whatever it is that they decide that they want to do. That is going to be the way to be able to provide not only for themselves, their families, and their children. So we have to remember, we're not just starting something brand new. History will repeat itself. But what we're trying to do this time is to make sure that when we put it in place, it's done properly according to 18A and 6A, which is the governance that we have to go by to make sure that we put things in place for our children and our students. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. If there are no other questions or comments from board members, at this time I'll turn it over to our business administrator to present the business office agenda items.
I would like to present the January Business Office agenda items for approval. They include the bill list and the resolution. Are there any comments from our board members?
Yes, I have a few questions. On the bill list, items number 9, 23, and 24, I do appreciate that we have staff going out to conferences to further educate themselves. My question and ask is that, is the board going to be receiving a recap as to what we're learning at these conferences and what are we bringing back to our district to empower our children? Can I continue asking questions? I'm sorry I'm new at this, but I have a few. Number 9, 23, and 24. That's, I was on conferences. My next question on bill list is number 25. Wanted to ask the parental rights and special education and administrative code. Is that booklet also going to be purchased in Spanish? Just wanted to know if that's going to be going out in Spanish and available in Spanish for that community.
We currently do have the copies that we have. We do have it in English and in Spanish. And what's happening is because we've been hosting the meetings for the DPAC, the bilingual and the special needs. They're now ordering new books, more books to come into the districts so that the parents will be able to receive.
Last and final question. Oh, go ahead. Last and final question is on resolution number 139, which is being amended. I wanted to know what triggered the change of $25,000 from the first proposed resolution. I was not here for that first resolution, but I just wanted to know what changes happened and why did we increase $25,000?
So I'll let Anissa handle that one, and I'll jump back and answer one question you had about professional development. It is the expectation that when staff members go out to receive training, that they will come back and they will turnkey that information. If there are teachers, they have to fill out a form to get approval in advance and share how they're going to bring the information back and turnkey it. If they're an administrative position, then the expectation is definitely they're going to come back and turnkey it. If you would like to be apprised of any of that training as a board member, just let us know and we can provide the updates. No problem.
The resolution that you referenced, I believe it's number 25, is in reference to our nursing services. So we're required by law, if the student has an IEP, to provide them with nursing services. Sometimes those services are for one-on-one nurses or for aides. And at the beginning of the year, when we develop our budgets and estimate, we don't know for sure the number of students that may require these services. So what's happened in this case is that additional funds were required. We submitted a resolution to address those additional funds and have them approved by the board.
Just to clarify, you're talking on resolution 139, correct? Not on number 25, correct?
Yes.
So again, the answer was that there was additional expenses that we were not forecasting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Any other questions? Any other questions on any of those items or? Okay. And so if there are no further questions, in accordance with the powers vested in the State District Superintendent under Title 18A, I hereby approve today's Superintendent's agenda items and business office agenda items.